As required by law, all board members are present. At this time, we'll have the invocation and pledge, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Randy Jones.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we just praise you for this group of men and women that have decided, Father, to help our school. Pray that wisdom will abound here, that your anointing will be here, Father, that we come together, Father, for the students that we have been entrusted with. Pray as that we hire new teachers, Father, that those teachers will come with an expectant attitude, Father, and love for the kids, and that we will be able to help them along that path. Lord, praise you for all that you've done. Pray for your wisdom. Thank you for your Son, in my precious name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll move to item 3 on the agenda, public comments. We've had one person sign up, Teresa Bassell. Ms. Bassell, we'll limit you to 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you for letting me talk. I just have something I'd like to bring to talk a little bit with you about for just 1 second. And it actually composes 2 parts. The first part, the big umbrella here, is I'm talking to you about this year's yearbook, and I know you are aware of some things. However, there is something I want to bring to your attention that you may or may not be aware of. So I have 2 parts. The first part has to do with the senior quotes, and seniors love giving their quotes. It's something that they look forward to. However, and let me just tell you, I was not aware there was a controversy or anything with the yearbook this year until I saw a letter posted by Ms. Stewart that refunds were being offered. After that, it was brought to my attention that there were a multiple number of students who had actually had student quotes put in for them that they did not put in themselves. And so with that, my question is, and you realize students do get the opportunity to put in their quotes, and then I understand that it probably runs through a screening process, and if it's inappropriate, they may not get to put them in. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is quotes that are actually put in for students that they did not say that that's what they wanted to have put in. And so with that, I have 2 questions. First of all, did the student approve that comment or that quote to be put in for them? And then the second thing was, if not, what consideration was made to take that student into consideration and look at that quote to see how that student may view that quote about them? Because that quote is being represented that that student said that quote. The second thing has to do with the controversial matter that was in the yearbook that was brought to my attention at that point. And the big umbrella that I have to ask first is the yearbook a public open forum? So that's the first thing that I want to ask. And with that, there's 2 parts. The first part that I want to ask is, does the yearbook, because it is a school publication, have to represent, or is it supposed to represent, the goals and values of that school district? And then, or of our school district. And then the second part of that, when I looked at the controversial material, there were just a few different items of controversial material. And so what sort of criteria is used to decide what material goes into the yearbook or not? Because there were a multitude of worldwide issues, regional issues, local issues that could have been presented. So my question is, were all classes and demographics of students, if you're allowing some content to go into the yearbook, how do you select criteria to not allow all the other issues that students that I know of to be presented in there as well? So I'm taking a neutral stance. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just presenting the options here because there were only a few controversial pieces of material presented. Now, the solution that I saw posted was that there was a refund to be offered for the controversial issue with the yearbook. However, I do not feel that that actually addresses the issue with the student quotes. Those students, if they were, there's basically that quote has been put in there about that student saying that's what that student said. And to tell that student that, well, if you don't like it, you can have a refund, that information is still out there. That's the same thing as saying if you don't want to go here, you don't go. We can still post whatever we want about you. So I feel like that didn't really address that part, and you may not have been aware of that. And so that's what I'm asking, is that maybe you go and figure out what's going to be done for that group to address, because a refund may or may not effectively address that if that student took offense to what, particularly if they had disabilities or whatever, what was said about them as their quote. So that's what I wanted to say about that, and I appreciate you listening to me, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 4, consent agenda. If no one has any questions, the way, for you new board members, the way it would work on the consent agenda when it's several things lumped in, if you had a question about the check register, for example, or something like that, you would ask to pull that item, we would approve the consent agenda, and then handle that item as a separate item afterwards. So if no one has any questions about the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Motion made by Red, second by Sheila. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, action and discussion items. 5A, discussion only, 2019-20 NLISD goal setting. Ms. Chadwick?
So I think that you have what is the table of contents of our district improvement plan in your board notes, and the goals are listed at the bottom because they are what we built the plan with. And I'm not exactly sure when these goals were set, but we do like them, and we've been working very hard on meeting these goals and creating strategies that align to these goals. And it is my recommendation that we continue using these goals for at least another year, as we are working hard with these goals already. If that would be okay with the board, we would really like to continue with these same 4 goals. They're at the bottom of the table of contents that was listed. I'm not exactly sure what page it is in your... 47. Page 47. If you see right under comprehensive needs assessment, we build our campus and district improvement plan using these 4 goals.
Do you want to have any questions or comments?
I see no reason not to use them. I mean, they spent a lot of time on them. And didn't they have those big campus plans last year
Yes,
with
ma'am.
pages and pages and pages?
Yes, ma'am. I think that we feel better about addressing these goals going into a second year with them, and we would really like to stay with them, maybe make those a little more concise.
Okay.
I move that we accept those.
It's discussion only.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, thank you very much.
She just wanting our opinion, make sure we
That's okay.
expect. All right, 5B, consideration approval, nominate a delegate and an alternate for TASB convention. Red, or Christy, someone that's done this before, can you explain what the responsibilities are? Or I think
Did
you-
it last year,
Okay.
and it's interesting. You get to go and look at what amendment or, you know, whatever's going to go on, what's going to be presented at the meeting, and I mean, it just takes, what, 2 or 3 hours
Yeah,
of
it's
your
a long
time. But it was interesting, and you see a lot of people from the area that are there. And, I mean, it's good.
And you get to vote.
Huh?
Mr. President, I would like to see all these new members get in all the training. I'll volunteer to be the delegate this year.
Okay. I think that'd be great, because the new members need to spend their time doing the training. Red's volunteered to be the delegate. We'll need an alternate. If we have a volunteer to be the alternate.
I thought I saw Ms. Trumbull go for the alternate.
I'll do it.
Okay. Okay, we'll need a motion to approve.
I move we approve them.
Okay. Motion made by Sheila, seconded by Bo. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Item 5C, consideration and approval, North Lamar ISD cafeteria meal charge.
This is from Diana McGregor, and she wanted you all to see the guidelines as far as charging in the cafeteria. So for district staff, they're allowed to charge no more than $10 for their school meals. And then for students, they may charge, but no more than $25 in school meals at all elementary campuses. and $10 at the junior high and the high school campus. She would like for you, I hope you've had time to read through that, and she would like for us to vote to approve this.
Did they do that last year?
We've been
much
able
the
to
same.
charge, but we've had trouble getting some of the students to pay their accounts, so that we're setting these guidelines at, allowing them the $25 and $10 because she felt like that was fair and that we'd be able to have better luck getting the accounts paid.
I read that, I thought it was a pretty good idea. I'll
Yeah.
move that we accept that.
We have a motion by Sheila. Is there a second? Second by Red. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to item 6, Superintendent's report.
Okay, as we spoke about earlier, the TASB convention is coming up. That's going to take place at the Kay Bailey Hutchison Convention Center, and that's September 20th through the 22nd. Housing opens up on June 18th, so I need to know from you all who's planning to attend so that we can get our housing booked at the hotel close to the convention center. So, if
What
you
is the
could,
date on that?
September 20th through the 22nd. That's a Friday through Sunday. If you know that you're going, let me know.
I can go.
If you need time, you want to email me later.
Okay.
So everybody's planning on going.
Plans to go.
Mr. Sanders, are you going to be able to go? Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Now I'll take care of all of the registration in the hotel.
Is there anything else?
No, sir, that's all.
Does she have anything else?
No.
I didn't realize on the consent of the agenda that we were approving the minutes because I had a correction.
Okay, we can go back to item 4, even though it's been approved. And-
Well, I mean, it's just something that, go ahead.
And pull, let's go back and pull, go back and pull the minutes from the consent agenda. Okay.
After reading the procedure for the election of board officers, after I read these minutes and saw this, I'd like to look into the procedure for electing our board officers because I don't think it's correct. Nominations are not motions. And if we look at how the election is, not that it would have changed the results or anything, I'm not saying that, it's just that I think that when we elect officers to the board, that we need to follow the proper procedure.
But you're not saying there's anything wrong with these minutes? You're just talking about the procedure, not nothing wrong with the minutes?
No.
Okay.
When I read these,
Okay.
when I read these minutes, I'm thinking, that's not the way you
I got you
conduct
now.
an
Okay.
election.
So,
And so anyway,
and we can put it on a future agenda.
I just
re-
wanted it to come to
I
the
re-
attention that we get it corrected.
And I researched it in the past, but just so you know, the way it works is you take nominations and then they are voted on in the order of nominations. That's the way it's
Well, I
done.
looked up and I printed out, after I saw this, I thought, well, I hate to even bring this up if it's correct. So I looked it up on electing officers on the TASB, or how TASB, the procedure that TASB puts out to be used. And I just ran a copy off, so if we want to put that somewhere and have it,
What?
it's
Let's put it on a
it's
few.
pretty easily stated, the correct method.
Well, and we need to make sure we don't have any local policy that would supersede that. And
Do it.
but it's not
It has to be on another agenda.
this is not an agenda item though,
It's
so
not
we
an agenda
probably need to
item. We
move
can't
on
talk
and
about
we
it.
can put it on a future
That's
agenda.
fine,
I'm
I
not-
just wanted to note
yeah.
that I felt like we needed to correct that.
Yeah, I don't know what that paper says, but I know back when Paul was president, I looked it up and I knew at that time that it went in the order that you vote and the order of nominations are presented. So if you receive 4 nominations, you would
It's
start.
clearly stated here.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't need any action on that then, okay. So at this time, we'll move to item 7, executive session at 6:15.